let's jump right on in. Spawning in the bottom right, our blue Zerg for Jin Air Green Wings. Make some noise for Rogue.
His opponent in the top left side from the Afrika Freaks. He's the red Terran player. Genius, he is. TY. I always love watching TY. He is just, it is absolutely fantastic to just kind of, particularly, you can rewatch some of his games sometimes and just keep finding new little things, right? Reactions that he's doing to particular things, differences that he's bringing into this. He's a player that has been around the block for a long time, right? Back when he started, he was, people called him the baby Terran, or how did they call him exactly? I forget the name exactly, but he looked like a baby. That's what it came down to.
You want to talk about baby Terrans? Somebody's got to find a picture of Maru when he was first tearing up the GSL. Like, come on, that's a baby Terran if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, but he wasn't much around in Brood War, was he? And TY, I mean, he already was back in that day.
So now we have, I guess to your point, talking about how TY is a creative player, I was thinking about this, and then we got talking about babyface Terrence. TY is in a really interesting position as well because he's a caster for GSL. So all of these players, I mean, to say that any one of these players doesn't have good access to how their opponents play is just silly. Like, there's so many replays out there. There's so many online events where all you can do is pull up one of a million VODs and just watch your opponent. But TY has such a very interesting angle where he can cast his opponents live and start to dissect various components of it as he's working. So being able to see what your opponents can come up with in different GSL events kind of gives him a really interesting, I hate to call it advantage, because again, like, everybody's got access to that kind of information, but I think it's just an interesting place for him to be, and I think TY definitely utilizes those advantages in preparing for his matchups.
Are you seeing this? Rogue anticipating the barracks move out. What is this? already prepping. Yeah, already prepping with that Overlord in a safe space there. Gonna do the more so scouting with those early on links. There's no Reaper either on the field because TY decided to go for those Marines. Try to get the early snipe. Ultimately, kind of working out here for Rogue, all things put together. So, you know what? Nice things happening a little bit in this early game so far. And may, you know what, not give an ultimate definitive lead to either of these players, but, you know what, spares an Overlord's life and gives Rogue, you know, a little bit of a slight leg up in case, well, in comparison if he were to have sent that Overlord there.
So I think this is going to be a bit of an interesting position here because we've got another Terran, 4th game in a row, early 3rd base. How are we going to see the Zerg players punish it in this game? Right now, Rogue actually not even running out to his 3rd base. He is staying on 2 base. His lair already on the way, but still off of only 1 gas. And now we are going to see that 2nd taken. Are we going to see mutas? We're going to need those other 2 gases if we're going to go into muta. Otherwise, this could be a very good Roach Warren timing. We'll have to watch here as things start to unfold, but already Rogue wanting to get aggressive.
Getting that Spinus. So this will be the Mutalist play, I'm fairly certain. To be fair, he's still making Queen. Sometimes we do still see a Nidus play from Rogue, right? He is one of the players that still likes to do this type of stuff, but there's no Roach run. You would make that quite a bit earlier, you know, as the layer is starting up as well, kind of around that mark, I would say, so you can get the upgrades going at the same time. So yeah, Spire, it will be a good call from you, Rushy, indeed. And, well, TY back at home. He does scout that 3rd base is quite delayed, so needs to start getting on top of his scouting, right? Wants to stay on top of things here. Maybe get that Liberator into the main or natural base. Figure out what is happening.
Yeah, he's got to get some information here because this is going to be a really fast muta play. And, I mean, the wall's just going to stay wide open. Well, this is going to spoil pretty much everything. The Liberator's going to come in and zone off the gas. And this is now, I mean, this is, I hate to say this is over, but he's going to roast so many of these drones. All of his tech has been scouted. He's going to have a difficult time pushing back the Liberator. Kozan, how does Rogue recover?
Well, I mean, it may just have to be. I mean, oh dear, oh dear.
Oh no.
I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure. These Mutalisks, though, they are gonna have to do a lot of work to make up for this. A lot of work. I mean, at this moment in time, even killing 20 workers seems like it won't be enough here. Yeah, I don't know. That's a bit of an unfortunate one.
I mean,
I feel that failing nest.
I feel so bad. I gave you just like the world's worst question. It's like, oh, this basketball is completely deflated. Kozan, how are you gonna fix that? We don't have anything to fill it. And you're just like, I don't know, just like, maybe that'll work. Yeah, get out of the game. TY jumping on top of Rogue. Clean game number 1. I hope Rogue's not still feeling his earlier matchups because he definitely deserves stronger play than that. But you got to give credit to TY. He sensed an opening. He got inside of that wall and did a lot of great damage. Some very good play on his part.
Yeah, that's a rough way to lose, you know. He just barely missed that Bailing Nest. If that Bailing Nest comes down, maybe it still gets shot down by the Hellions as well, but maybe he will be able to then position his queens a little bit differently, squeeze out maybe a bit more defense backwards, anything, right? Anything to kind of stop those Hellions from getting 30 worker kills, because that is just too much.
Yeah, 30's a lot. 30's a lot. 10's a lot. 10's a lot. We talked about that in Serral versus Cure, where that was right on the edge of, okay, can you come back from that? Can we hang on there? But no, 30 is just devastating, and not even the best Muta play could bring Rogue back. About the only thing, TY would have to march all of his army units, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds, and we're just gonna hold position in the center of the map, and you just go nuts, have a great time, and then we can be able to play out an even game. So unfortunately not the case for Rogue, but we're going to be jumping into game number 2. It's going to be on Light Shade. Hopefully he can untilt himself a little bit. You can see a little bit of frustration on Rogue's face, but I mean, these players are professionals, Kozan. They can shake this off too. We all get emotions, but in the end, we can all buckle down and play some good StarCraft. Yeah.
I mean, Rogue has been known, right, to sometimes feel like he lacks the motivation for StarCraft 2 in a way, which is kind of sad overall because he is so darn good at it. But then, you know, he finds it difficult to find just motivation to do the practice, to put in the time, all that it requires, really, because it takes a lot of time to stay on that top level, right? To be competitive on these levels, in the top Code S levels, in the King of Battles, of course, as well, as it is just absolute bloodbath of just absolute god tier players right now.
That's very, very true. We are jumping in here to map number 2. It's going to be on Light Shade, spawning in the top left. Our blue Zerg needs a little bit of support, but he'll get it back. Engineer Green Wings, this is Rogue.
In the bottom right side, in the red, already 1 point on the board with a quick, nifty win. It's the Red Terran. He is TY from the Afrika Freaks.
Now, okay, I want to admit something to you, Kozan. And
okay.
I have a feeling that
you're streaming, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to divulge my secret love for you. Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. That's for another day. That's for the finals tomorrow. But when I first got into StarCraft and I started watching some of the GSL play, when I saw TY, I was like, oh, that's cool. He named his name Thank You. And I was like, I mean, that's kind of cool. And then like TY, oh, okay, it's short enough. It's got to be 4 characters. Thank you. Oh, that totally makes sense. I think it took me like 3 years to figure out that TY is actually like the abbreviation for his name. And it felt a little silly. But, you know, I mean, just wanted to share that with you.
It's a common misconception, right? It's an easy mistake to make overall. You just don't know his name. And then, to be fair, like the Western scene, really hardly anybody really knows the Korean players, their names. Even the Western players, right? You wouldn't know it as quickly, maybe because the casters that you watch a lot more often will be able to call them by their name as well. But the Korean players, not that often. I'm pretty certain our Toastless and Tasteless and such will be able to call most of them, if not all of them, by their real name. But they're more accustomed as well to the Korean language.
That's fair. I guess that's what you get for living there for so long, right?
Yep.
You just kind of get to that point where it's like, huh, well, I see myself long term here. Might as well not just only speak English and never be able to communicate with people around me. So probably smart to do that.
Yeah, and it's also a thing within Korea itself as well, right? They more often just kind of communicate about the players in the cast and such with their real names instead of their ideas. It's really more so a Western thing where these players are continuously being named by their online ideas instead of their real name, right? The name their parents gave them.
So I'll make a point to that because I think that I actually had that conversation. I think it was with Creighton a week ago or so, and then we'll talk about this game a little bit more as it's starting to speed up. But it seems like, especially in Western culture, people will refer to players by their handles because it represents like the contributions that they're making to the scene. So it's not like when we talk about Neeb, we're not talking about I think his name's Alex. We all think of like Neeb, like, oh man, he's won so many of these DreamHack events, and that's not Alex, that's Neeb. So using people's handles is paying respect to the accomplishments and the contributions that they've made. So, but I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is. All right, once again, the Overlord here not getting sniped, by the way. That is a nice little thing once again happening, and we see a armory on the way for TY. Let's keep our eye out open for how many Hellions he makes, because, well, it looks like it will be, in fact, the Hellion opening this time around, only with a single barracks, so he's going to have a couple of those Marinas as well, ready to facilitate damage against those Queens and such. Overlord does manage to see the move out here. Even some SCVs are being pulled, quite a few, in fact. I'm not certain if Rogue caught onto this. He is making a spine crawler, so it looks like he is.
He's got to be ready to go, though, because these Hellions are going to be showing up here, and they're going to be Hellbats in just a brief moment. That armory finishing up, and yeah, that supply block is a little rough here. It's gonna get the wall up, and well, maybe, possibly, yes, it does go up at just the last second, but it's just weak enough that it's not going to be able to actually stop TY. So TY is going to start shoving on forward here. Rogue with a nice surround on the back side here. One of those Hellbats trying to zone out those Zerglings. But some really good coverage here by Rogue. This is as good as he could have asked for, but unfortunately the repairs are just really strong, coupled with that medevac, and now there are more Hellbats being able to get on top of all of these units. The spine goes down, more Queens start to fall, and now we start to see those drones exposed.
My dear lords, are you kidding me? Actually, doing the repairs from the Hellbats here, together with the healing of the medevac, that is pretty darn impressive. If you do not have Bailings for this, it looks like you are just going to be in a world of trouble. But to be fair, TY, of course, bringing those SCVs, this is a lot more committed as well. He hasn't been able to get on top of the drones just quite yet. So, you know what? Rogue still managing to clean this up. And yeah, that is GG. That was as all in as it gets, pretty well, unless if you manage to do significant amount of damage. But ultimately, he killed the Queens, he killed the Spine Crawler. Did not kill any drones there, and that is what he really had to do. So taps out, but then again, only a tied up series here. I don't feel like TY is gonna have to feel too sad about that one.
Oh, but that's a huge moral victory for Rogue. I mean, that's got to pull him topside once again. Okay, settle down. We can do this. We can hold off our opponents. We're not just going to fall out 0-3. And wouldn't that just be wild to see the first two semifinals, or quarterfinals, excuse me, of our event go out 0-3. But fortunately, we are going to have a bit of a series on our hands as we get ready to go on to Pillars of Gold for game number 3. Now, I find it interesting that TY played so surgically in game number 1 and then felt compelled that he wanted to Hellbat rush his opponent in game number 2. Kozan, do you think we're going to see that same type of decision making from TY in game number 3?
You know, it's rough to call. TY, he is a genius with this best of format, right? He always has a plan. He always knows not only how to approach a single match, but then how to approach the rest of the series alongside with it. So I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe something similar, maybe something that kind of looks the same, but then just mix it up a little bit, enough to catch Rogue off guard. And well, maybe he's just going to do something entirely different, right? And then surprise all of us once more. We'll just have to wait and see and let TY surprise us.
Well, if there's going to be any surprises coming our way, it would be on Pillars of Gold. So we'll have to see what these two players have in store, and maybe we'll see Rogue start to get a little cheeky as well as he gets a little more confident.
All right. Remember as well, this is the two GSL winners, right? The two players managing to take a victory in the GSL. Now they're battling against one another in this best of 5 in this tournament. It is quite the sight to see. In the top right side, the blue Zerg from the Jin Green Wings. He is Rogue.
And spawning in the bottom left, our red Terran player. Playing for the Afrika Freaks. It's TY.
All right. Here we are again in the next one. 1-1. It's looking like, you know what, Rogue will be going for some regular stuff once more. Same will be said for TY. Does get the gas this time again. Wondering if he's going to open up with the Reaper at one point, right? If he's going to try to scout, Rogue is known as a player that will be able to just get very aggressive at certain points, and not having that Reaper to kind of start the initial scouting can get you caught off guard. And I'm wondering if Rogue is going to try to play into this at some points here. But there's always this threat, right? Where if you suddenly do try to get aggressive, suddenly TY decided, you know what, let me make this Reaper this time. Let me, in fact, do make this Reaper and do some scouting and just be able to see absolutely everything that's coming in. And there we go. There is that Reaper. So a bit of a mix-up right here for TY. I suppose maybe the pillar where you put your overlords on top of on this map a little bit further away, of a larger flyover there for the barracks. But at the same time, it has not been paying off at all whatsoever for TY so far. So probably a wise choice. I like the choice going for the Reaper here.
Yeah, keeping that standard play against a player like Rogue is a good call. It doesn't matter how poor a player is playing in the system, because you never want to just accidentally go, oh man, I missed an opportunity to see what my opponent was going into, and then all of a sudden, oops, I lose the game because I didn't scout. So this Reaper will still serve some very, very positive function here. And yeah, I feel like we've talked about it very, very little, but yeah, two GSL champions squaring off against each other. Even though Rogue might be playing not his prime level right now, I mean, he's still a dang good Zerg player, and TY better make sure to respect that, and I think he is.
Yes. Yeah, and so far this is looking like the most regular type of opening here from both these players, right? Overall, TY can still put himself in a position where he's just going to start running across the fields with a ton of Hellions or something like that, right? But ultimately, things are looking normal, looking regular, and I think that might be coming in favor here for Rogue overall. We've seen him do quite well if things kind of open up regularly, and he doesn't take too much damage, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to be looking out to learn a little bit here, but from these two players.
Oh yeah, if you watch these games, anybody, not just you, if you watch these games and you don't find something interesting to learn, I mean, what are you looking at? Where are your eyes at? Because you're missing out on all the good stuff. So absolutely, I think I would probably do the exact same here. And this is kind of an interesting opening for both of our players. It feels like TY is going to play a little bit more reserved in this game number 3. Not getting anything too crazy. We don't see a Cloak Banshee. In fact, it's just a Viking on the tab right now. So more than likely just wants to clean up a little bit of the scouting of Rogue and gonna get a Liberator back behind it. So yeah, a little bit more patient standard TVZ affair coming out for TY.
This again kind of feels like the TY playing the series, right? Not just playing the match, playing the series overall, doing quite aggressive stuff in the first 2 games, and now suddenly, you know what, slowing it down, being more conservative, and this is the moment in time where Rogue may be thinking to himself, well, maybe I do need to be extra careful. Maybe I do need that Roach Warren to a little bit earlier, or, you know, get another extra queen out, try to ensure that I will not go down to something very aggressive early on, and ultimately, I'm not quite sure if that is happening right now for Rogue. We do see that Roach Warren, but that may just be him trying to get very aggressive with this. He has that layer attack on the way also. I don't know, did he also get 2 Evo chambers here? Maybe for the +1/+1 Roach timing could be coming up, but I'm not seeing any upgrades right there, so I'm anticipating... okay, well, they are, in fact.
Yeah, and I don't think he necessarily needs the +1 missile, +1 carapace at this point. It's obviously very nice and it adds a lot of value to it, but at this point, it almost feels as if he wants them just to have defensively, but we could very easily see Rogue just turn on a dime and suddenly push across the map, as he is getting up to that worker count that he's going to feel most comfortable in. Going to toss away a couple of those workers in the defense, but does manage to hang on to the queen, which is nice. And yeah, there goes that 1/1 upgrade for Rogue, and going to grab that Gleo Reconstitution as well. Zergling's going to almost try and jump onto that tank. That would have been a nice little pick-off, but Hellion's going to be able to back off and keep that alive. And now we are going to start seeing an interesting position here. We're going to see Roaches and Ravagers against primarily Bio-Tank.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see this heavy on the tank. I suppose he did see the Roaches, so overall it's a solid choice not to go for the Widow Mines, right? That is definitely a good one, and will help him out quite a bit here. I'm wondering how many Roaches we're still going to be seeing here. It looks like with that +1/+1 and the Roach speed finishing up, we should see Rogue get a little bit more aggressive here. Yeah, more Roaches on the production tab, and most likely we'll try his luck on the opposite side. The third base here for TY. It's a little bit open, not as open as it is on Lightshade, for example, but on Pillars of Gold, there are 2 areas where you can come into with your Roaches, so maybe we will see Rogue get a nice engagement right there. And mostly Marine still here available for TY, but also those siege tanks, of course, can facilitate quite a nice trading.
Well, I like the creep spread here for Rogue. He is starting to push out. Does get that that 5th base location secured somewhat. His creep spread on the top side could be a little bit further out, but will have enough to be able to start seeing what's coming. Except for this, he doesn't quite have enough to get across there, so there will be a Marine drop here in the main base, but it also seems like TY is going to queue up on the left-hand side as well, so going to try and attack at multiple locations, and this is where things are going to get a little awkward for Rogue, because this bio will just trade out very well against the Roach composition of Rogue. No Ravagers at this point, although now that I say that, 13 in the production tab, so they're on their way. Rogue's just going to max out and push across the map. He must have been watching a lot of lower level play, because this is a very good standard play here. I love it.
Yeah, Mappa pointing out right there that uncharacteristic mistake there from TY was going in with the 2 drops before his +1/+1 finished, right? Would have been able to trade out even more efficiently against those Roaches if he were to have those upgrades. Anyway, this is the big push right now from Rogue. Will he be able to get the vials where he needs them? Will he be able to get the efficient trading? That's the big question right now. There's only 4 siege tanks, and I like the way that Rogue is approaching this, right? Coming in from the top side instead of the side where all the siege tanks are together. This way he may be able to take on 1 or 2 siege tanks at the same time. Gonna open up these rooks as well. Has the time to do so, no problem. Also, TY will be able to reposition some of those siege tanks right now. Of course, Biles not landing so far.
Those Biles need to be a little bit more peppered around here, trying to keep TY's bio on the move so they can't just stim forward and tear apart this army. But Rogue's already backing off, trying to relocate once again. I feel like this is his opportunity to really try and get more damage done than just really poking at the front of the army. But he is getting his transition in place here. He has that infestation pit. Did get a chance to see those medevacs, although he doesn't see them double back here. But just going to try and reposition down to the 4th base location. This is going to be a little bit better siege for Rogue to get on top of, as there are no tanks sieged up just yet. Some good bio control will be able to own a little bit of that ground space against the bio. That base is going to get dangerously low, but I don't think it's going to fall just yet, as TY is trying to punish on the other side of the map.
A couple of links here, but not too many. Those Marines will do pretty well against those links from now. Getting picked up, though, will move into the main base. Rogue behind this is getting a layup. Or, I'm sorry, the Hive Tech as well. Looking to just take this into the late game. No Spire whatsoever just quite yet, so wondering what he's going to be getting. Probably the Ultralisk, Kevin, I would assume. Going for the Ultralisk and Ravagers right now? Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is just looking like Ravagerling Bane at this point, and he just has some roaches that haven't quite transitioned just yet, but that centrifugal hooks on the map now, so he will be able to have access to those. And I kind of like this play. I mean, it does do a nice job of getting on top of tanks and being sturdy enough to be able to hold back this bio. But this is a really nice play style that Rogue can continue to hold on to the map pressure at this point. And on the heels of it, he's getting that Ultralisk Den, he's getting Adrenal Glands, that +3 Carapace is also on the way. Rogue trying to make the most of his army supply that he has right now.
This is such a different game than we saw just earlier, isn't it? I mean, there's no Widow Mines, it's just siege tanks. I mean, the Roaches and Ravagers, of course, kind of contributing to that as well, but a lot less harassment, less multitasking coming out of the Terran play. But here we do have big engagements sometimes occurring as TY is slowly trying to gain more ground. Rogue will be able to start up the production of those Vipers. They are absolutely crucial to start gathering up against those siege tanks compositions, though, that we're seeing.
So I'm surprised that TY hasn't tried to do some of these split pushes with medevac drops into these outer lying bases to try and pull Rogue apart just a little bit. But it seems as if he just feels comfortable going right up the gut. These tanks are going to siege up on the high ground and get a pretty decent spot here. Those Banelings not quite done just yet, but here they come. They're going to roll on in. Tanks are ready to go, though. They're going to get right on top of all of those Banelings, and the splits are going to be strong enough. Now, TY has a great position here. Still plenty of Banelings on the backside of this, so TY can't afford to slow down just yet. He needs to make sure he keeps that coverage strong, and those tanks from the high ground will be in a good position, but I love the tanks sitting in the back, preventing some wraparounds and making it difficult for Rogue to get on top of all of this juicy army supply.
Yeah, but at the same time, not being able to really defend against this. Okay, yeah, you do not expect this amount of siege tanks anymore on the backside. Will try to commit here. Does take out some of the siege tanks, so overall, I mean, it's a little bit of a shame for Rogue right there that he didn't have the Vipers out in time. He didn't have those Banelings out in time. Otherwise, that would have been such an easier fight overall, but very well done there by TY. Great positioning, great timing to hit, and being able to get a fairly efficient trade right there.
Well, and both of these players are kind of hanging really close to each other as it sits right now, but I always look at that worker count in a ZvT. 80 to 78 sitting in TY's favor. Rogue is going to start possibly slipping in terms of his economy once those mules come in, but it seems that TY is doing a pretty decent amount of scanning right now, so that is an okay spot for Rogue to try and play from, but he can't allow TY to stay even economy with him for very long, or it'll slip away.
He's going to lose this base. Yeah, that was already so low. He could not afford to leave that going unprotected. And oh my god, gets it. Is that another snipe on it? What did he? Oh, yeah.
This is just going from bad to worse for Rogue, who really can't afford to lose bases at this point. Again, to my credit, what I was just saying about the fact that his economy was trying to slip away, but losing that base absolutely does have it landslide, and we can already see that income sharply jump into TY's favor. He's taking almost 1,000 extra minerals per minute. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's doing very well for himself. Will be able to most likely secure the bottom right side as well if he wants to, when he needs to as well, of course. No absolute need to right now. Can just focus more so on the aggression as he is been able to find much value on that front. Once again coming in here for this base, and Rogue, yeah, he's just trying to scramble up enough defenses to stop this from running out of hand. And some more Liberator harassment. The Queens are on point though. Spore Crawlers also good drone pool, not losing too much. This is what Rogue needs to do, right? He can mount a comeback, but he needs to stay sharp. He needs to stay defensive and stop the bleeding, stim the bleeding overall, get that creep spread out a little bit further again, and get efficient trades. That's the main thing right now.
I love the position that TY is in right now. He should be able to start owning control of this map once again. He is getting that creep spread slowly pushed back towards Rogue's side of the map, and some good siege positions are actually working very, very well for TY. That was an okay situation there for TY. He didn't lose a whole lot of bio, but it was a lot of banelings that did go down. But now Vipers will be able to make this a little bit more complicated for TY to try and hold on. And suddenly, Rogue able to push that all the way back, but a couple of Liberators allowed to hang around. I guess, is that one or two? I can't hardly tell.
I think it's one. We saw Rogue actually missing the bios on that one. That was a little bit unfortunate, losing 1 or 2 more units than he needed to because of it right now. And it's still being around in that location as well, of course, isn't that fantastic. Okay, gets picked up. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to see, right? These pro players so quick with just plopping them all down in Liberator zones. Sometimes they manage to stack up onto one another, but not this case. No drilling claws with these Widowmine. Oh wait, there is actually.
He still manages to grab 6, even though the pole was pretty on point. So TY making the most of that, but a parasitic bomb does get on top of a couple of these medevacs. This is good damage for Rogue, but Rogue is struggling to try and stay on the top side of things. His economy is starting to slip away. 79 to 68 workers. He's got a slight army lead, but remember that a lot of that army is tied up in lower tech units that will not trade out as well if he's just going face to face here. So he has to make the most of these spellcasters, and he is doing his part here. Some more good casting coming out of these Vipers as they are able to push back all of those medevacs. So now this bio will not be able to stick around as long, but the stutter step backward is really strong, and TY is doing everything he can to try and make the most out of these units. Insane position here, but Rogue is able to push that forward and starts getting on to TY side of the map. This is what he's missed for a little while.
Oh, massive Widowmine hits there as well, finding a good connection onto those Corruptors, and TY, yeah, just microing backwards, going further and further backwards. He is getting closer to his own base, though. So it looks like he will be able to stop the push further forwards right here, right now. I believe, yeah, good Widowmine connections once again, cleaning up those Zerglings. But, yeah, well, there is more reinforcements still coming in for Rogue here. Also, Rogue needs to get some real damage done, right? He only got 9 workers so far. It would be fantastic if he manages to get a base and maybe manages to swing into that base a little bit to the top left side right here. Get some damage done there as well, but so far it looks like no, he won't be able to do too much, but just a single base, which is, you know what, a nice start of a comeback, but still not really there. A lot of Marauders here. They don't trade too efficiently against Lynx, but good position.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not enough damage. It's good base. I mean, it's good to take that out, but TY is just held too cleanly. GG is called, and game number 3 going to our Red Terran, and now we see him on match point and prepared to strike and move on to face Cure in the semifinals. So some good stuff.
Yeah, and TY showing quite a bit of dominance right there, being able to also just, you know what, great positioning and taking on those fights against those Ultralisks. Sometimes I wonder if they're making too many Ultralisks. They are so expensive, and, well, against the army composition of TY, you know, with those heavy Marauders, it's hard to get efficient trades going for yourself, and, well, we saw that exact same thing again here, once more on display. Maybe a little bit of tinkering needs to be done with the overall army composition of the Zerg in these situations.
I think we're gonna see Rogue trying to tap into that game number 2 once again. I wouldn't be surprised if he hopes that his opponent's going to go into a little bit of quick play, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him pull something out sneaky himself. We are going to go on to Oxide. Match point incoming here for our red Terran. But does Rogue have enough energy in the tank to be able to push himself through and prevent the all-Terran top side of the bracket? And he's spawning in the top right. Our blue Zerg playing for generic Green Wings. This is Rogue.
Bottom left side, red Terran fighting for the Afrika Freaks. He is T and Y. TY. All right.
I almost expected Kozan to see that early pool go down. I don't know why. There was like that part of me just like really stare at the production tab, wait for the spawning pool, but no such luck. So it'll be
something
more
here, Rogue. Yeah.
It'll be more standard, more than likely. Or I wouldn't even be surprised to see him try and pull out I wouldn't be surprised to see him try and pull out the roach push once again. I know that it's not like the most tactical play that StarCraft 2 has ever created for the Zerg race, but there's a reason that it's a good build order. There's a reason that it works because it's very strong, and I feel like TY just had some very good advantageous engagements there and kind of shut it down. But on a map like Oxide, Rogue might be able to use more of those pathways to try and secure himself a stronger push into this game. It wasn't necessarily bad play by any stretch of the imagination. TY just ended up playing very well.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like you said, we're gonna have to see Rogue making the adjustments here, but he's still playing standards. And I'm trying to think back on that game. We didn't see TY do an extreme amount of damage early on, right? We didn't see him do that much at all early on. We saw Rogue, in fact, going for the +1/+1 roach timing and maybe just sticking on that composition for a little bit too long. It's rough to say. He never got the damage that he wanted to. TY was well prepared. He had the siege tanks up and ready to go. So overall, that is what got him into a good position. Now, yeah, maybe if we kind of skip that roach kind of aggression here from Rogue, maybe he's going to be able to get himself sorted in a little bit of a better situation. But it's all up to him, right? What does he want to do? How does he feel like he can take victory here? Just gonna have to wait and see. Losing a couple of these Zerglings, actually. Should lose another one, I would say, but all right. No, that's managed to escape.
How hype would it be if he came out and said, "Okay, I've tried my standard play against you, and it's not worked out. Man, this kid Raynor's really good with lurker." How hype would it be if we saw that lurker play out of Rogue? It seems very anti his normal play style, but I think it'd be pretty cool.
I don't know, man. Rogue is one of those players that just shouts for Korean dominance in a sense, right? Doesn't feel good about losing against Europeans. So then to try and copy more so the style of a European player, I don't know if that would be his thing necessarily, but yeah, it would be very cool to see. I think it's a very strong style overall. A style that can bring a lot of Terrans to their knees, and you know what, TY, I wonder how much experience he has against it as well. But at the same time, for Rogue to just suddenly, you know, go out on a whim and go for lurkers here, I feel like he needs to have prepared for it at least a little bit, right? Tinkered with it, tried it out on his own in a ladder session or some sort of a practice session. So I don't know if he has.
I imagine that they've played like probably hundreds of thousands of builds, right?
Yeah, true.
That seems realistic to at least speculate on.
Yeah, that is true.
It is going to be more standard opening here for TY, getting that Viking out to deflect a little bit of that Overlord vision, but Overlord speed actually being brought on to the map as well. So Rogue really wanting that scouting information. And this looks to be a similar build path here that we saw in game number 2. It looks like it's going to be a good amount of Hellions. I just keep waiting for that armory to drop down, but I don't think we're going to get that. Instead, it's going to be more barracks back behind this. We're going to see that stim pack get started up. And it's going to be more bio play out of our Red Terran.
It will be, yeah. And once again, the 2 Evo chambers going down. This time around, not facilitated with the Roach Warren, so Rogue will be skipping that for today. Also have his queens in a good position to still try and shoot away those Hellions for now. But TY making it difficult though to spot this all coming in, of course, with that Viking continuously picking off Overlords. Doing a good job at opening up the map for his Hellions for now. So yeah, I mean, once again, the layer attack coming up as well, the +1/+1. No Baneling Nest just quite yet, is there? Okay, there he goes down.
Yeah, we finally see that Baneling Nest go down. That would be the world's riskiest play to not incorporate the Banelings at this point. So, layer tech on the way. That third base, no, it's actually at Macro Hatch. Okay, I like that. So going to probably get aggressive here really soon. I imagine that's going to be the path that he wants to walk down as that 1-1 is starting to fire up. So no big Roach push here in this game. Going to be a little bit more tit for tat with his opponent. But TY already getting out to that third base and starting to get secured. Rogue doesn't want to leave TY alone too long. I mean, he's already got a supply lead, and that's only going to compound if Rogue doesn't get over and try and do at least a little bit of harassment.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it, in a sense? Because normally we would always say Zerg is the player that you don't want to leave alone, but I mean, Terrans have been going for the triple command center for a while now. They seem to be okay. Here and there you get some Widowmine harassments, the Liberator stuff as well, right? Try to get poke some holes in the defense, get those Hellions in somewhere. But yeah, so far TY not being able to do any of that, and it doesn't seem to be in a bad location whatsoever right now. It is that first push that is coming in. Baneling speed is only halfway done, so that is still a bit off right now. The creep will get punched on the nose for this one.
This is starting to look a little scary here for Rogue, but very good surround here is going to push back the bio at least, and only 1 tank. So the creep spread is good enough that he will be able to get those queens underneath of that Liberator, and that will shut down that aggression right now. But we've got to be careful. Those Hellions are in high enough number that they can roast a lot of these Lings, but good creep spread will try and accelerate it forward. Good back and forth here, but TY is now going to shove up the gut here. He's got enough of these units, and these medevacs have okay amount of energy. He's just going to get right on top of those Banelings, and all of these Banelings are going to get picked off. They are not going to be allowed as a part of this fight. And what a great position for TY. He's just going to keep shoving into that natural expand, Kozan. It's just GG. TY ends the series 3-1, just shoving straight up the gut. Holy cow, what a bold play.